Hi and welcome back to my channel. I'm Tony, and if you follow me, you know we're at the final stage of this incredible journey, building this huge Jagdpanther G2, this amazing kit from Armortek, this wonderful 1:6 scale tank destroyer, and I have loved every single moment, as I'm sure you know, and I've told you many times, and from the comments I'm getting, it seems as if you guys have enjoyed the journey with me as well, so thank you for following me all the way through that. So what's next? Well, in today's video, I'm going to do all the weathering, and I'm going to do all the weathering all over the tanks. It's going to take a long time, so we'll probably speed a bit of that up. And at the end of that, I'm going to do some work on the barrel. So I've bought some of this camouflage netting, and I've got some of this moss stuff from a train model shop, and I'm just going to try and make this barrel look really smart, and we'll apply that. And if I get a chance at the end of today's video, I will give you a bit of an overview of the electronics. They're all done now, but if I don't get a chance in today's video, it'll be the final video. I'll do all the electronics and then we'll take it out for its big test run, and I'm really excited about that. I've got so much planned, and if I can get the weather right and I can get my filming right, I think you're going to enjoy it. I've even gone out and got a ton of pyrotechnics to get involved. So we're going to have lots of smoke and bangs for that. We get the heads out, and another surprise which I'll reveal in that video as well. And at the end of this video, I'm going to give you a bit of a hint to my next project, and I'm super excited about this. This opportunity's come along out of the blue, shall we say, and I'm buzzing about it. So there is another project in the mix, and it will be coming straight after the completion of this Jagdpanther. So in the time-honoured tradition, I will reposition the camera in a moment, but just ahead of that, I just want to say a massive thank you to all of you again. Your subscriptions, your comments, your thumbs up have really helped my channel, and I can't thank you enough. And for those guys who've signed up as memberships, you know who you are. Thank you again. That really does help. And if you are considering it, please do, because I will continue to add interesting content on that area that I can't put on my normal channel. And if you are new to my channel, please subscribe, because I've got lots and lots planned. There's not just this. We will be going on to another build straight after this, another Armortek amazing build straight after that. And if you love this video, please give me a thumbs up. So now we reposition the camera, we'll start talking about mixing up paints and getting the weathering started. Right, so in order to do the weathering, I'm going to be using two types. There's this enamel streaking effects paint which I've got here, which I'm going to use for some of the areas, but for a general wash I'm going to use the acrylic paints that I've got here, and I'm going to use some thinners as well, just to thin it out so it's nice and thin. And I have a whole array of paint brushes here, just soaking in the water. First things first, I'm just going to look at what we got here. So I've got this is a gunmetal, so I'm just going to put a little bit of that to give us a bit of a shine to it. And then I'm going to put some black. I'm also going to put a little bit of brown. You want this to be a really mucky kind of wash, and then just going to mix that up. I think a bit more brown, darker brown this time. And this is again just this is your own preference. That's looking the right kind of colour, but it's too thick. So we're now going to use some thinners just to thin that right down. And I like to use the acrylics because the acrylics are basically non-intrusive paints, so they're not going to affect the decals or anything like that. I think that's about the right kind of consistency. Maybe just a little bit more. I don't want it. You don't want it too thick. You want it to be like a wash. So that's pretty much the consistency I want, and I think I'm quite happy with that colour. I might just put a bit more mucky brown in there. It's like being back at school. Yeah, I like that. That's nice. So now we've got this. That's not going to be enough to finish the job, so I'm quite happy with that, but I'm going to use that as a basis to start, and then we'll mix up again. So I know that the colours I've used there are the dark brown, the black, the gunmetal, and this light brown here. So they're the ones, and we've got our thinners. So I'm just going to keep those paints to one side, so I know I'm happy with the colours of that. So let's now just test this and see what the effect we're going to get. So I've been experimenting with this. This is just a piece of acrylic with the protective paper on the back, but any sort of matte or semi-matte finished surface will be just as good. So I've had to water my mixture down a little bit more, because I'm trying to get the effect I'm trying to get is this, where it sort of starts to run down. And if you're not happy with that, you can always, I've got some extra thinners here, you can thin that down and thin it out as it sort of runs down your kit with a sort of slightly thicker. Let's go again with that. Should start getting this effect. That's the kind of effect I'm looking for in areas, just subtle like that. So it's always worth just doing a bit of a test before you apply it to your tank. So now anyway, let's I'm happy with that. Let's start doing this. Okay, so the first thing we're going to do in the weathering technique is just the streaking. So I'm going to start running some streaks down here, streaks across here, so, and sort of on the corner here, some streaks on the gun mantlet, streaks down on the skirting, just coming down like that. And then once we've done all the streaking effect, we're then going to go around and do some dry brushing on all the details, just to give them a bit of a weathered, aged effect. So first things first, I'm armed with 2 brushes. I've got my, what have I got? Where's my, oh, there it is. Sorry, my thinners over here. I'll pop that on top of the kit like that. And I've got my mixture of paint just here. And I've got a bit of tissue. So the first things I'm going to do is I'm going to start working on the top. Now, this is my technique. I'm not saying it's the right way to do it, but it's my technique. You want enough paint on there so it starts to run a little bit, because you want that effect. And you want it on the decal and all the rest of it. And then just to sort of thin that down a bit. And then I'm just going to bit of tissue. I'm not sure you're picking that up in the camera, but it just gives you a suggestion. This is subtle weathering. Might want to put a bit more on that. I don't want to go too mad. I just want to give it an effect of it's got some weathering on it. And of course we're going to go around and we're going to be doing dry brushing on all of this as well. So this is just to get some streaking. I mean, this is the bit that you can either get really nervous about, which I do, or take it as a real opportunity to have a bit of fun. Or drop your paintbrush. Let's get that on there. I like to get it to run over the decals as well. That's why we couldn't really do the weathering in the last video, because it would have lifted the decals. So that's kind of where I am with that. I'm liking that. Let's get that paintbrush. Now we're going to do some on here. It's just, you can imagine if it was if it was driving through diabolical weather conditions, you're going to get this kind of effect. And of course we will be doing a lot more work on the, when I start to do the dry brushing on the rest of the hull. It doesn't look a lot now, but once you've got it all done, it really will pull it together. Now we're going to go along and do this. Skirtings down the joints. Sorry, I'm not talking because I'm just concentrating and actually having a lot of fun as well. I think you're getting the general idea. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to probably speed all of this up from here. This is going to take a long time. This is going to take hours and hours and hours of work to get this right, and then constantly going back and adding to it and detailing it up. And I'll probably break off during the sort of the speeded up, if that's the right word, or the sped up film, and then just talk you through a little bit more. I'll certainly break off and talk you through when I start doing the dry brushing. So from here on, I'm going to speed up the whole process. So that's all the streaking done. Now I'm going to go on to dry brushing. I've just started doing a bit of dry brushing on this exhaust flume here. And you can start seeing the build-up of grime and dirt and everything else. And of course I'm going to have to put some rusting on this as well, because in reality this will get so hot and burn all the paint off. So I'm going to carry on. So this is where I'll use my enamel paint, my DIY. I think this is like a windowsill brush or a window brush, but I've had it in my cupboard for a while. I just thought I'm going to put it to good use. Just start applying some of this dry brush into this, so we can start getting that nice used realism effect. And without putting any more paint on, I'm now just going to go around and just generally just dry brush all the edges, all the parts that would be typically. And what's good about this brush, I can get into all the little nooks and crannies, just getting that all around those fixings. A bit more paint on those chains. I'll do more work on here, but I just want to, before I speed everything up, I just want to try and get you to see what we're doing here. Just generally speaking, just getting it looking a little bit grubby. Oh, I like that effect. But it does, trust me, it looks really good. Just start to see it sort of really pop now. Oh, I love this. This is looking really, really good. What I'll do is I will put the camera off its hill towards the end. You can see, hopefully, it'll look close. What a difference. It just makes it really pop. I really hope you can see it. It looks so real. I don't know why I sound so surprised, because I've done this technique a few times. It always surprises me. Anyway, I'm going to carry on and we'll speed up the whole process, and we'll come back when we start doing some of the rusting on here. Okay, so I've done as much dry brushing as I'm going to do for now. I may go on and do a bit more on the dark, the grime one, but now I'm going to do, using the same brush, I'm now going to bring in the rust colour, same brand of paint, enamel. Just get quite a bit on my brush initially. I'm just going to pop that on there. It's going to take a bit of time to transform this. Wipe off the excess paint and then just start working up the tops of the exhausts. It's going to take a bit of work. It's going to take a while to dry, and then we'll go over that again. But in the meantime, we'll go right in there. Seems such a long time ago that I built these. So that needs a bit more work. I'll just go down and give the chains a bit of a rusty. Not that it's going to look rusty, but I'm just using the last of the bit of paint on that dry brush side just to give it a little bit of a texture. Just hitting those spare links again. I'm really pleased how this is coming out. I know it's difficult for you to see, probably on the camera, but hopefully once it's all done, you'll have a better idea. Oops, sorry about that. Right, so we'll wait for this to dry and we'll give it another coat. So while we're waiting for the paint to dry on the exhaust, might as well do the muzzle brake and get that a bit of weathering on it. So you're going to see dark, staining around here where it's obviously been busy. So I just want to, using the same brush again, but now this a different pot. Just getting the excess off. And now we're just going to, see if I can get this in the camera for you. Just going to start, needs a bit more off of that. Just start working around that. Get inside it as well. Just use that tissue just to wipe the excess off. I'm looking forward to doing the netting on this. I think that will really set it off, hopefully. I really wanted to up my game a little bit on this kit, and I think I have. I'd like to know what you guys think. From the general consensus, I think you all tend to agree. It's just a beautiful kit. I just didn't want to sort of let myself down, but also in a way, really wanted to pay homage to Armortek and the way they build these things. I think that's all I want to do on that. The great thing with these enamel paints is that, or even the acrylics, that you can then just use a tissue just to blend it in. That's all I'm going to do on that. That's all it needs. Just a bit of subtle I'll just put a bit more. Just around the apertures like that. And although I'm not going to go through the electronics today, I will, at the end of this video, I'll fire everything up so you can see it all working. And then in the next video, we'll go into the layout. I've got to do a bit more work on the batteries actually. I've got to put the charging leads on and things like that, but I'll do that in the next video. And then we'll go on in the next video to do some hopefully some really cool driving. I think that's as far as I'm going to go with that. Pretty happy with that. So need to wait for that paint to dry and then we'll get back on the exhausts. So I thought while we're waiting for the paint to set to finish off the exhaust, I'm going to start working on this, my little idea for the barrel. So I've got this camo net and I was thinking about the best ways to sort of tie this on, and I thought the easiest way would be to get some cable ties and use them to secure it on. And then, so I've done that, well I'm going to do that, but what I've done ahead of that is to paint them. So I've used the leftover paint. So I don't want to glue this on because I may want to take it off, so I don't want to destroy the paintwork. So this is a bit tricky, but what I've done, I've used the leftover paint that I've got and I've painted the cable ties green. And I'm going to put the first one on this end. Now this is very much trial and error. See how that looks. So that just stops that from unwrapping. I'm going to just see if I can get that a bit tighter. This is a new test for me, or a new experiment. I just love the fact that when you're building these models, your imagination runs wild. And I know that one of the guys following me is doing one of these, so massive shout out to you, Johnny. He's going all in with detailing, and I admire what he's doing. And hopefully he can share some photos of his completed build. But it's like one of these sort of things that we're on a journey almost together, and I think we're inspiring each other, which is wonderful. And that's what I love about my channel, that the people, you guys, all of you, you're all amazing guys, and you've got loads of wonderful ideas. So that's it, crudely speaking. Let's just trim off the excess tails. Now the idea is, once I've got these on, I'm going to use this foliage here, which is typically meant for like model railway sets and things like that, I guess, or war games. It's lovely because it's actually the colours that I want. Brilliant. And then I've got some glue just squirted into the top of my little ramekin here, and I'm going to just see if I can just get a little bit of glue on there like that. And initially I'm just going to stick it loosely where I've got the cable ties. I need a bit more glue. This is the B7000. Could prove to be a bit messy. Again, I've got a barrier cream on my hands, so cleaning my hands off is not going to be an issue. Just want to cover up those cable ties initially. And I can go around and trim all this up if I need to later on. I think that's quite effective. So we carry on. And once I've got the cable ties all kind of covered, I'll go on and I'll stick some of this foliage down the barrel. I mean, over time, I'm sure I'm going to lose quite a lot of this, but hopefully not too much. So I'm going to carry on, and then I'll come back to you once I've got all these done, and we'll do a bit more work on this. So that's all the cable ties hidden, and it will shed a bit. So now what I'm doing, I'm just going to go and randomly add the remainder of this along the barrel. Really, it's just so much fun doing this sort of thing. Well, I do. I love doing this sort of thing. And as I said, over time, some of this will shed. I'm not that bothered about it. I just think it looks... I might just commit, apply the glue directly to the net. You could use all sorts of glue on this. I just didn't want to use super glue, because you don't know how it reacts to these things, sort of solvents and what have you. Where I've got this along this seam. Hopefully I've got enough. One little bag of this I think should be enough. Again, very inexpensive stuff to buy. A few pounds. When you put it into comparison of how much these kits actually cost, these little bits don't cost that much at all. And I really do think it's going to, in this particular example of a kit, because of the nature of the design of this vehicle, it was designed, or the intention was for it to hide in the brush and the woodlands and things like that. I think it's right to do something like this. And I've looked it up, and even in the Second World War they did used to do something along the lines of this. I know it's used a lot now in modern warfare, and I know that the paints are all different in modern warfare because they're all sort of heat reflective paints and everything else, all clever stuff. But back in the day, when these guys were operating these vehicles, they just whatever they could get, whatever to hand. So I've got a bit more work to do on this, but it's getting there. And whatever falls off, and whatever stays on, stays on. That's how I see it. Again, don't stress over it. It's just putting your personal stamp on it. Give that a little bit of a shake. See what comes off. Not too bad. Any bits that come off, I'm just going to stick back on. And what I'm tempted to do is once I've got all this stuck on, just give it a spray of clear lacquer, just to see if I can keep them, sort of just keep them from shedding too much. But that's it. Look at that. I think that looks pretty smart. So just before I pack up and do my final piece to camera to tell you about my next, or give you a hint about my next project, I did promise you that I'd just give you a run through very quick of the functions of this amazing kit. So I've got everything set up. My mate Adrian came over and really sort of just played a blinder as always. We have a great day here. That behind the scenes footage is now on my membership channel, so, and it's there because I'm sorry, you know, there is some colourful language on my part, not Adrian, he doesn't swear, but it's a good fun video. So if you did want to check that out, it's in the members area, but that gives you a really in-depth background about how the electronics are all set up. But I will in my next video give you an overview, and as I said, I've got to attach some leads to the battery to help me with the charging. So let's just fire this up. So first and foremost, let's start her up. Just love that beautiful plume of smoke. Put her into gear. I'll turn her off. So let's start her up again. Engage the gears. And with this particular system, with the new belt-driven system, Armortek do advise you don't engage the gears straight off. So I think it's a good 5 to 10 seconds you need to wait before you start driving. But I'm on single stick driving. Just setting the gun up. Let's give it a fire. Or get the crew to start talking. Beautiful. That's the new recoil system, which I think is sublime. I really like the camo on the gun, but it's not everybody's preference, but I think it's going to look amazing when it's out. Let me just turn all this off. Stunning. I'm happy with the level of weathering. I'm not going to do any more at this stage. The good thing about when you do this, when you get it outside and you work with it, you may want to do a bit more painting. That's your preference. I'm happy for the time being. Just going to turn everything off on here. Turn my radio off. And I'll be back to camera to do my final piece, but I'm really pleased with how it looks. I'd love to know what you guys think in the comments, and yeah, just chuffed to pieces with an amazing kit. This is not the end. We've still got one more video to go, and that's all about the electronics and the final drive. But anyway, I'll pack up now and I'll do my final piece to camera, and I'm just going to give you a little hint of my next project. So there it is, 400 hours of build time, nearly 400 hours. And I've loved every single minute of it. I've just loved building this kit, and I love it. I love the way it looks. I love the way it sounds. I love everything about this kit has been a pleasure to build and a real privilege. So a real credit to Armortek for the job they've done on this, and the fact that they allow builders to personalize them as well and just put your own stamp on it is something which is an amazing thing. So I just love it, and I really hope that you agree with that. From the comments I've had so far, it looks like you enjoyed the build as well, so thank you for all that support. So what's next? Well, I'm going to wire up my batteries so I can connect up my battery chargers. And I'll walk you through the electronics, and then once I've done all that, we'll take it off its table for the very, very first time. And that's always a nervous moment because it's the first time any weight would have been put on the tracks, and we'll see whether everything's functioning as it should, and it may need some adjustment. I'm hoping not too much, and hopefully I've done everything correctly and I've built it correctly, so it should run and function as expected. And then once I've got that up and running, I'm going to then do some, as I said, I want to try and make it a bit of an interesting driving video. So I've got the pyrotechnics, so there's going to be lots of smoke, lots of bangs, the heads going to be coming out, and also the contents of this box will form part of that video as well. What's in this box? Well, this is a birthday present for my amazing wife, so thank you for that. And I'll show you, well, you'll soon see this in the next video. But if you wanted to see it sooner, there is a video, an unboxing video of this on the members area if you want to see what it is. It's actually quite smart, and I'm not trying to hide it from you, but I just need to keep putting content on the members area to sort of fulfill my obligations there. And then once we've done all of that, what's the next step? Well, after the driving video and shortly after that, I will be starting my next Armortek project, and I'm really excited about this because this is my very first commission build, and I'm so grateful. A guy has followed me from the very start when I built my Tiger, and has shown me amazing support all the way through. He reached out to me very recently and asked me whether I'd be interested in taking on a commission build, and of course the answer was yes, absolutely. I'm so privileged and so chuffed that somebody would trust me with their valuable kit, and I hope I do him proud. Who's that and what is the kit? I'll let you know in the next video, but suffice to say, it's another Armortek kit, and it's actually one of my favorite ones. I've never built it before. I've seen it up close, so that's a clue, and I've loved it, and I can't wait to build it. And there's going to be weeks and months and months and months of time building that, and looking forward to every single minute. So whilst this video's out, I will be on holiday, so if you do leave me a comment, please forgive me if I don't respond quickly. It's only because I'm not around, but as soon as I get back, I will of course respond, and I'll catch up with you then. I'm going to sign off by saying I'm Tony. I love building these kits. I love that you guys support me throughout, and I can't wait to see you in the next session. See you soon.